Coming to you live from the JRE Tobacco Aladino Mobile Studios, it's the Cigar Pulpit.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another sermon from the Cigar Pulpit. I'm the Bishop of the Burn, Nick, and today, well, thankfully you guys came through again because I needed something to talk about, so we are doing another Ask the Pulpit. Yes, I know I just did one last week, but quite frankly, you guys were chatty. We received a lot of calls in the last week, and so I don't like, it's one of those things when a certain amount of them bank up, I like to go ahead and get them done, because otherwise they're just stale, and I have to remember what I said, and that's hard enough doing episode to episode, much less, weeks gone by. So it just made sense. Go ahead, do another one. You guys had things to say? I'll let you say it. So anyway, we're going to do another Ask the Pulpit. But first, we got to get a cigar going. And today, I will be smoking the Herrera Esteli Habano. It's a 6x52 Toro featuring an Ecuadorian Habano wrapper, Honduran binder, and fillers from Nicaragua. And it comes to us from JRE Estate. And I'll be honest, I'm a little picky with JRE Estate. Some of their cigars, they're just not for me. It's not that they're anything bad. They're just not for me. But man, this Herrera Esteli, the white label one, the Habano one, I love this cigar. I do. I find it, I buy it. This is going to be my second one of the weekend, actually. And it's a good time. So if you like a good Habano cigar, I would actually recommend giving this one a try if you haven't yet. Anyway, it's time to cut the cigar, and the official cutting is brought to you by 2guyscigars.com. That's the number 2guyscigars.com. Two Guys have been around for 40 years, and they are the trusted name in the cigar industry. Everybody knows Two Guys, but if you don't, please give them a try. You won't be sorry. Family owned and operated, 2guyscigars.com does the best to provide a great selection, fair prices, and excellent customer service. So head on over to 2guyscigars.com for your next cigar purchase. Tell them that the Cigar Pulpit sent you. And remember, that's the number 2guyscigars.com. I actually need to put in an order with Two Guys here soon. I have not ordered my pack for June yet. And that would be the Padron pack, I believe. So I need to get that placed before it's time for the show packs to get charged. So anyway, I'll get on that probably this week. Alrighty, well, let's go ahead and give this guy a cut, and we can get on with the festivities. Boy, I have got some things to talk about too. This has been an eye-opening weekend for me. Not in a bad way. I've learned things about myself. I've learned that I have an interest, or more than a passing interest, in the World Cup and soccer. And I'll tell you, if you would have told me a week ago that I would have spent my weekend watching how many? Hell, the fact that I have a chart to track it. If you would have told me that I would have spent my weekend watching 12 different soccer games, I would have laughed you out of the building. I never in a million years would have believed that. Somehow or another, I just randomly ended up finding myself interested in watching. And so I did. I started with the very first game on Thursday, which I think I talked about in Friday's episode. And it just spiraled from there. But anyway, we'll get into all that in a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and light this guy. And again, I have been experimenting with matches. I've been getting better with them. So I'm going to light my cigar with a couple of matches. I do find, so these are the slightly longer matches. These are they're designated as large kitchen matches. And I find that 2 of them is the proper amount of flame. 1, it doesn't quite cut it. But 2, I can pull it off. Anyway, so I'm going to do that while you guys listen to the greatest commercial you've ever heard.
Some say cigars are all the same. It's just not true. It's you I have to blame.
Well, I don't know, 'cause what I know, there is a cigar called Aladino. Corojo.
Aladino Corojo. Aladino Corojo. They say authentic, so we're not confused, while the others say it's a word that's just abused.
I guess that's so. They can't compete. At least I'm sure Aladino can't be beat.
Corojo. Aladino Corojo. Aladino Corojo. Aladino Cigars use authentic Corojo tobacco from JRE Tobacco. This is the greatest commercial you ever heard. Yeah.
For those of you on the YouTube that were paying attention, I did all right with the matches, but I had an edge that just wouldn't quite catch. So I just went ahead and used the torch just to hit that one edge real quick because, I can. I live in a first world country where I have both matches and a torch, and that's okay with me. I also had to go back and do a V-cut after doing the straight cut because the draw was not, it was okay. It was tight. And so I just wanted to make sure that I had the proper draw for the cigar. So I'll do that. That's my little trick, is that sometimes after I do the straight cut, instead of doing a second straight cut, which tends to go ahead and just really F up the wrapper, I'll go ahead and do a V cut, which kind of helps open it up and tends to not cause any wrapper splits and things like that. So anyway, my little, for lack of a better word, pro tip. All right. Let's go ahead and jump right into it.
Shall we play a game?
You talking to me? I have a question for you.
You gotta ask me nicely.
Ask me about my winner.
You got a question? You ask the 8-Ball.
Come on, sucker. Let's get it on.
Let's get it on indeed. You guys can call the hotline at area code 863-874-0000. That's 863-874-0000. And you can call in, leave your message, and I will get to it on a future Ask the Pulpit episode. Comments, questions, concerns, doesn't have to even be cigar related. Hell, most of the time these days, it's not even cigar related. It used to be. When I started this whole thing way back when, it was cigar related. But you've gotten to know me, and so now there's questions and that sort of thing. Nobody's ever taken me up on the dating advice question, though. I've from day one, I've said, call me about cigars, call me about life, call me about dating advice, whatever. Nobody's ever taken me up on that. And, given some of my stories, it's probably for the best, but, whatever. It's okay. It's all right. All right. Things are good now. I want that for the record. Things are good now. All right. Moving right into the calls, we will go ahead and start with our first one.
Hey, Nick Boots here from West Virginia. I'm currently listening to the Ask the Boys episode. And I'm starting to realize that I feel like I know you because I hear you forever. And
I've listened to that one already. Let's listen to the next one that I haven't heard yet.
Hey, Nick Boots here from West Virginia. I'm listening to your Ask the Boys episode here on the 9th of June. And, man, you are really going through it. I'm sorry, brother. I can tell there's something going on. As 2 political rants in a row, I can just tell you got something going on there. And I'm really sorry.
Oh, really?
I wish there's something I can do for you. Hopefully it gets better for sure. But also just wanted to call in. Dakota had some great facts about the cock missile. And so as an amateur zoologist myself, I had some animal facts for you too.
Oh boy.
Number one, not everybody knows this, but chickens have X-ray vision.
What?
I know what you're thinking. That's not true. But like I said, believe me, I'm an amateur zoologist. And I know they have X-ray vision because every time I walk by, they look at me and go, "Big cock!"
Dear
I mean,
God.
honestly, it's kind of embarrassing, but I appreciate them acknowledging it, and then geese, as far as we're going there, geese are very hard of hearing. And I know what you're thinking, how would I know that? Well, again, I'm an amateur zoologist, but I'm also an observationalist. But I notice that every time I ask a geese a question, they say, huh, huh. All right. There's my dad jokes of the week. I hope you're feeling better. Hope that does something for your mood. Either way, brother, take care. Whatever it is, I'm sure it'll pass. Stay smoky.
I'm good, Boots. I just I get a little fired up. Sometimes I get on the soapbox. It happened twice. I'm going to try to avoid it today. It tends to be the Ask the Pulpit. The one obviously was about the track and trace. But then I had the second one, and that one was kind of prompted by a call, and I spiraled into a rabbit hole, and, it happens. It happens. But I try not to get too political, but by God, things just happen in this world, and you want to talk about it, and it's all crap. But there I go. I start spiraling. All right. But to your point, Burfirk. He doesn't necessarily say bakak. Sometimes the chickens say Burfirk. Speaking of the BF chicken, shameless plug time. I do have a new Etsy store, and you can buy stickers on there. We've been doing some limited edition designs, and one of them is BF chicken related. It is the BF chicken Lucha Libre and Cockfighting League sticker. Because as you recall, after way back when, there are so many of these sticker designs are throwbacks to longtime listeners. But for those of you who may need a refresher course, the BF chicken stole the hat of Al Roman, who used to do, and he owns the Good Cigar Lounge down in Little Elm, Texas. He used to do a podcast. I'll admit, I don't know if that podcast is still going, and that's on me, and I apologize. If it is, Al's a good dude. If it's not, well, he was a good dude, and he had a nice show. But anyway, but the chicken stole his hat and held it for ransom. And it got crazy. And eventually, the law enforcement came and got the hat back, and it was shipped back to Al, and, things were okay there. But the chicken had to go on the run, and he went down to Mexico. And by the way, again, this is all you guys. Well, the hat thing, that was us having fun. But going down to Mexico and getting involved in cockfighting and lucha libre wrestling, with Larry the Mute, no less, that was you guys. I just want to point it out for the record that, you guys did that. And so anyway, he went down there and he established his lucha libre and cockfighting league. And so anyway, we have the official logo sticker of the BF Chicken Lucha Libre and Cockfighting League logo available on the Cigar Pulpit Etsy store. But there's also some other cool stickers. And all right, chicken, you can go back in your cage now. There's also some other cool stickers, including one featuring Aladino National Sales Director Trey Mac Shipley and his fear of the crows. So you can get that sticker and showcase Trey Mac and his fear of crows on your travel humidor or coffee mug. We also have for Pastor Barnaby the Church of the Holy Smoke logo, which is very nice. And we cannot. Here's the BF Chicken Lucha and Cockfighting one. So that's fun. But we can't forget about our friend Larry the Mute, who has Larry's Auction Service. Because you guys decided he was an auctioneer. And, Larry's Auction Service, where the deals speak for themselves. And finally, because, it's Tuesday, and you know what that means? It means lemonade reviews. It pairs nicely. So anyway, they're just fun. I'm doing these little limited edition runs. They're just, they're available until they're not available. And then when they're not available, I'll move on to something else. But for right now, I'm just having a good time with the stickers. So for those of you who like the stickers, I know cigar people tend to like stickers. We put them all over humidors and various things like that. But anyway, for those of you who like stickers, I've got stickers available. And I'm working on other merch. But for right now, it's just stickers. Got to keep the cigar going. But to your point, nothing's wrong. I'm good. I'm fine. The economy sucks, and that's impacted my newspaper. It's also impacted other projects that I have that I'd like to do. But for right now, I can't really do anything about it except adjust, put things on the back burner, do some things later that I would like to do now. And that's okay. It's life. It's life. But no, all in all, Boots, everything's fine. Thank you for the call. Moving on, we have another call here.
What's up, Nick?
What up, Dakota?
Okay. I'm finally calling to address the side piece in the room, right? So I will start off by comfortably saying I am not a fan of that nickname. I've had many nicknames in the past. A lot of them suck. Some of them great. When I was younger, I really didn't talk much. I wasn't very social, but I did play baseball a lot. So I had this windbreaker that I always wore. So the kids would always call me Jacket Kid. Hey, Jacket Kid, come over here. Hey, Jacket Kid, your short suck. Whatever. Jacket Kid. And then, I've had many friends give me, little nicknames. And let's see, I've been called Watch Kid before. That was strange. When I wrestled in high school, I had the highest GPA on the team, and I wore these little wire rim glasses. So one of my wrestling coaches called me Professor. Now I thought that was a cool nickname for a wrestler. Not bad. That's not bad. It was nice. I don't know. Let's see. What other? You could always be boring and not creative. Call me Ranger. That's one thing. I have called into another podcast, one of my football podcasts, and I'm known by that nerd, but I can't be known by that in this particular group of people because you're all nerds. I don't know. What's another one, man? Oh, my trail names. And the trail names were from trail building, not hiking. So one of them was Superman and the other one was Little John. All right. So, there's many options out there. Just saying, side piece is not. And the whole problem with this is that I subscribe to the you can't pick your nickname, right? I mean, you just can't. Somebody has to give it to you. It's something you're given and that you earn. I don't know if I've earned it, but it was given to me. So, whatever. You can have a debate, man. I'm not sure, I guess. Whatever. I just know that I will accept begrudgingly, but do not want to accept the current nickname that I have. All right, man. Peace.
Okay, that's fair enough, Dakota.
Side
piece. Now that's fair enough. Now what I will say, just to clarify for people that maybe don't remember this. So Dakota had me saved in his phone. He was smart and saved the call-in number in his phone as Cigar Pulpit. And added it to his favorites, no less, because, he's a frequent caller. And I appreciate that, Dakota. I really do. And so he saved the number in his phone, added it to his favorites. Well, alphabetically, because the iPhones, when you add things to their favorites, they don't list them based on a level of importance. They list them alphabetically. And so alphabetically, Cigar Pulpit came right before his wife. And his wife saw that and gave him some grief. So then I believe it was Boots that called in and gave him the nickname of Side Piece. Now, theoretically, this is where I will defend Dakota for a moment. Theoretically, under that scenario, and I'm not saying this because I want this nickname, I'm saying it when you look at the situation logically, technically I would be Dakota's side piece because he's married. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm not married to Dakota's wife to make Dakota my side piece. So it's one of those things. Now, again, I'm not saying that because I want you guys calling me fucking side piece. Don't do that. But what I am saying is, given that, and given the protest, I will say, if somebody can come up with a better nickname for Dakota side piece, I would be open to hearing those suggestions. So I'm opening the floodgate and asking you guys to call in to the pulpit hotline, area code 863-874-0000, or tofu pie with no E, 0000, and let me know your suggestions for an alternate nickname for Dakota side piece, because he is not appreciating it, and I don't want anybody feeling like they're getting picked on. That's not fun. But I'm glad you subscribed to the You Cannot Pick Your Nickname, because that is accurate. You cannot pick your nickname. They are bestowed upon you, and that's it. Now, if Boots continues to call you side piece, I can't really do anything about it, dude. He has given you that name, and you've just begrudgingly accepted it. So I will say there's that. But if somebody has something better that we could adopt, Ranger does feel lazy. If there's something better that we can adopt, I'm willing to, entertain that. So, anyway, thanks for the call, Dakota. I appreciate it. All righty. Moving right along now, we have... Oh, my gosh. All right. So, we got 3 calls from this number. Oh, this might be rough. All right. I'm going to just the beginning of the transcript is making me feel like I'm about to get beat up. So, let's listen to this.
Hey, Nick, it's Paul from Texas. It's been a while since I called, so here I am.
Okay.
I gave you some shit about a recent episode. The track and trace episode was so boring. I fell asleep in the middle of it. I was like, what the hell is going on? Yeah, man. So I'm going to give you an episode idea.
Okay.
So this one's going to take a little bit of time and effort from you.
Oh, God.
But I was thinking, like, you can do an episode where it's your best memories of the show or your best 10 episodes of the show.
Oh, Lord.
So just scroll back down through YouTube, through all your videos, and try to pick out some interesting interviews you had or interesting just memories related to the show, like from the Pulpit Fest, or any kind of friendships or anything you met along the way. I think that'll be a good episode. Anyway, I'll think of something later to call you about and give you some more show content. Talk to you later.
I appreciate that, Paul. Look, I'm sorry that the track and trace was boring. I not everything is for everybody, and so, I appreciate that you at least managed to stay awake for half of it. It's one of those things. Sometimes we do things that are less thrilling, but, I do 2 a week. There's like 700 of these things out there for you. So realistically, I try. You call back. So let's listen to this.
Hey, Nick, it's Paul from Texas. Just sitting here poolside, so I hope my cell phone reception is good. Listening to your latest episode about the 4 beginner cigars.
Okay.
And as I'll just tell you, I am not a fan of the AI-directed episodes. I can tell when you're doing them, and man, I'd rather you just stumble through the dark, not knowing what you're going to say next, than read off a script that makes you say these weird AI-fed sentences like, whatever. I think one time you said something crazy about tobacco. Anyway, AI has these sentences that it repeats everywhere, so every time I hear that, it drives me wild. But I'll contribute here to your 4 beginner cigars, and I think you are spot on, dude. The Reserva Real and Aladino Cameroon, 100% beginner cigars.
Okay.
They're a cigar for everybody all the time, but yes, you start your new friends with those 2 cigars. I would also add some kind of sweetened tip, and so for me, the Java because it smells so good when you're smoking it and when you're just smelling the cigar. So you hand somebody a cigar and it's going to smell so good, and they're going to want to try it. It's also got that sweetened cap. And then I think I'm just going to have to throw in a Padron 1000 series in there. Those are full flavor, and they're kind of medium strength, I would call it. And I think that gives them exposure to another name brand and something that if they go to a lounge anywhere else, just like the Reserva Real, they can pick it up and they know they're not going to throw up. They're going to enjoy the flavor, and they're going to have a good time. All right, that's all I got for you. Talk to you later.
You know, I appreciate that input. My only thing about Padron is, man, here's a hot take. They're not necessarily my favorite cigars because, quite frankly, I just get a lot of earthy flavor from them. It's just like earth. Here you go. Here's dirt. They're okay. I mean, unless you're willing to spend bigger money on a higher dollar Padron, I just tend to, the 1000 series. Look, every once in a while, the 1000 series is good, and every once in a while, when you want that flavor, you want a Padron or something like that, but you don't want to spend $20, $25 or whatever they're running these days. The 1000 series hits that mark. It's not necessarily my favorite cigar though. And so that would be my only thing about Padron. Yes, it's a big name and it's in a lot of places, and it gives a new smoker something to consider. And quite frankly, it's probably more readily available than the Aladino the Cameroon. I just, like I said, I feel like in terms of cigars that offer the new smoker a little bit more of a complex journey, I don't necessarily know if I agree with you on the Padron 1000 series. And as for the Java, look, man, the Java Mint is one of my guilty pleasure cigars. That thing is like smoking a Thin Mint Girl Scout cookie. I like that one. I maybe have it 2 or 3 times a year, just as something just to break up the palate and smoke something different. But again, I kind of went through some of the reasons why I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of going with flavored cigars right off the bat. Now, that is not to say that maybe after you introduce a new smoker to straight tobacco cigars like the Reserva Real, like the Aladino, I'll even acquiesce and say the Padron. It wouldn't hurt to then say, now we also have this subset of cigars available, and they come with sweet tips or flavor or something like that, and you can introduce one of them, that new smoker, to the Java at that point. I would probably hesitate anymore. I would probably say it's not the wisest move. Well, I don't even want to say that because, quite frankly, it does all depend on the person. It's just not something that I'm leaning towards these days as the introduction. I think if we're going to try to get somebody smoking along with us, if we're looking for a new cigar buddy, I don't know if that is the case. But like I said, there's a time and a place for that, and maybe that's the way to introduce it. I don't know. But I appreciate that input. And yes, there are some episodes I confer with AI, and I get my notes, but I don't like some of it is like, yes, I do have some notes, but I try to interject with my own personal thoughts and opinions into it. But dude, it's just one of those things. Especially with the 101 stuff. It's one of those things that it just kind of helps collect the thoughts more than necessarily give me something to vomit out. But anyway, all right, we got one more call from Paul. Maybe I'll get through this without getting my ass kicked.
Hey, Nick, it's Paul again.
What up, Paul?
Just doing a follow-up call, listening to this episode. and I'm glad that you're watching soccer. And I know you don't know a lot.
I don't.
So I'm going to spend the next 4 minutes explaining everything about soccer to you, okay? So what happens, I'm just kidding, dude. I'm not going to do that shit to everybody. But I have to explain some things. You were looking at a country playing South Korea. That country's Czechia, okay? It used to be the Czech Republic.
Yeah.
It used to be Czechoslovakia. It used to be Bohemia, okay? But yeah, they changed their name recently to Czechia. That's where Prague is at. It's really close to Poland. And then I'll say one other thing about soccer as you're on this new adventure in your life, watching it in real time. Yes, they pass a lot, okay? But some people say it's boring, but I'll argue this, that there's 45 minutes plus of gameplay without commercials, okay? So unlike American football, where they have a commercial all the time. They'll kick the ball, commercial. They'll kick it again, another commercial. There's a fumble. Just nonstop commercials. It's soccer, you watch it 45 minutes, take a piss, go eat something, you got 45. It's a nice trip. Watch it this month. It's a beautiful game is what they call it. So hopefully you'll get some enjoyment out of it. All right, talk to you later.
All right, Paul. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do this now because you have teed me up and I might as well go ahead and go for it. It's time for the Villiger Cigars Entertainment Report, brought to you by
Villiger.
Villiger Cigars, one of the leading cigar and cigarello manufacturers in the world, founded in 1888 and still family-owned and operated. Head over to VilligerCigars.com and check the store locator to find a shop near you that carries them. We guarantee that Villiger Cigars will be a wonderful addition to your humidor and cigar rotation. Dude, okay, I've spent all weekend watching the World Cup. As I said earlier, I've watched all 12 games that have happened so far. And I apologize for screwing up. You even just said it. And Czechia? Chechnya? I don't. Hang on. I have it here somewhere. Oh, wait. No, it's an abbreviation. All right. Well, never mind. You know who I'm talking about. I'm screwing it up. I'm being a Midwest guy who can't pronounce shit. So, yes, I have watched all 12 games. And I am so into this. Now, I've talked before how I watch my professional wrestling, and I like it because I can kind of zone out, and you know, it's relatively mindless. But there are some parallels between that and soccer that I have kind of come to determine. First, the crowd. The crowd makes such a huge difference in the experience. When the action is going and the crowd at a game, soccer game, is loud and singing and this and that and whatever, it just makes it that much more exciting. Very similar to watching professional wrestling where, you know, if you're watching a match and the crowd is sitting on their hands, it's boring as sin. If you can't, you know, if they're getting into it, it just amps you up as a viewer. So there's that. The other thing that I have found is I have found myself gravitating towards stories. Scotland making it into the World Cup for the first time in 28 years. I love that story. Australia, who was not projected to win against Turkey, ended up winning against Turkey. What was it? 2-0. That was great. I loved that. You know, who was it today? It was, let me bring up my email because that'll tell me, because I have the thing there. It was, Curacao. Curacao took on Germany. Germany was expected to run away with it, and admittedly they did. They won 7-0. 7-1. That one goal by Curacao was huge for them, and they went bananas. Those fans went bananas because of that one goal, and I loved it because they basically said, "Look, we got into this. We're not expecting much, but we're just having a great time," and I thought that was wonderful, and I thought it was cool, and quite frankly, I think the Germans were freaking out there for a minute when it was 1-1. Now they ended up coming back and scoring like 6 more times. But you know what? That's okay. That's okay. That was expected out of them, and they did. So I'm really getting into the stories of some of these teams and you know what's going on with them. And so that's something else. And it's that underdog aspect. I'm really digging the underdog aspect. Now you mentioned the commercials, and I noticed that. And I looked into it. And sure enough, the commercials, they don't do commercials during gameplay. They only do it, like, I guess at halftime. Now, the other thing I found out, the hydration breaks that they're taking at the halfway point of the first and second half. So, I don't know, give or take around 20-something minutes and about 60-something minutes into the games. They started that with the World Cup. This year's World Cup. And I'm sure you know that, but I'm telling people that maybe don't. And so, because apparently North America is so damn hot and everybody else is like, you know, not used to this. And so they feel as though they have to stop for hydration. And apparently there's some fans that are pissed off about it because they feel as though this was Fox trying to find a way to interject some commercials into the middle of those 45-minute blocks to add more advertising space. And that could very well have been. But while they're there, they're not so plentiful that it's oppressive. Like you said, it gives you that bathroom break time. It gives you that time to run in and grab, you know, a fresh drink or grab a snack that you know, have been thinking about, but didn't want to miss something or whatever. The other thing that it's done, it's allowed some teams to go and kind of like mentally regroup and get a little help from their coach and come out and do things. Australia against Turkey, that was one of the things that the announcer, the commentary team was talking about during that game, is that, you know, up until the hydration break, Australia was kind of whatever against Turkey, but then they came back from the hydration break, and suddenly that's when I think it was Australia. That's when they got their first goal, and then they got their second one later in the game. So it's kind of one of those things where it's added a whole new element to the game. You know, but I've found myself actually actively rooting for countries that I didn't really anticipate. So like Scotland, I'm all in for Scotland. Now, do I think they're going to get very far? No, I don't think they're going to make it out of the initial match round. But it'd be nice. I like Scotland. I think Scotland's fun. And I'm loving the story, the 28 years not being in it. There was an article in a Sports Illustrated about Scotland and their history and how they never really ever make it out of the initial match play round. And they're hoping just at the very least to make it to that round of 32 because there's like 48 teams. So they're doing this initial bracket and then they're going to the 32. And then from there, they're 16 and blah, 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 and all that. So I'm finding Scotland to be very, very fun. Australia won me over in that game against Turkey because, you know, they were not projected to win that. And then they end up coming back and winning that 2-0. And so I thought that was pretty cool. Now, Australia is the next team that plays the United States. And quite frankly, I think the United States is going to beat them because the United States, I mean, they looked really good against Paraguay, beating them 4-1. I don't know, though. I don't know shit. So I think it's fun. I thought it was really cool that the Japanese fans bring garbage bags with them to the stadium. And then after the game is over, whether they win or lose, go around and gather up all the garbage and clean the stadium. They were showing that on Fox. It was freaking crazy. You had fans actively cleaning up their mess and the mess of others in the stadium that they were at. And I thought that was really respectful and cool of the Japanese people. It's not something you typically see at an United States sporting event. Typically, when a United States sporting event's done, they clear out, and that's when the ushers and all the groundskeeping people have to go in and go aisle by aisle to pick up all the empty beer cans and bullshit and whatever else. So I thought that was very nice of the Japanese people to be policing up and cleaning up after everybody. So I thought that was fun. I have found that in the beginning of this, I would have told you a tie is boring. I want a winner. But now that I have spent an entire freaking weekend, 4 days straight of watching soccer, I can now understand why a tie is actually a pretty big deal, because they're trying to accumulate these points to be able to be in the first and second spot of their group. And then there's this race for the third spot, because the 8 best third place winners of all of the different groups, there's 12 groups. The 8 best third place winners will advance into the group of 32 as well. And so that's a pretty big deal for those guys as well. So they're trying to get at the very least a tie, so they get 1 point and not give 3 points, which is what a win gets you 3 points, and a loss gets you 0 points, and a tie splits the points 1-1 between the two teams playing. So they're tying in order to try and get accumulate points. I think that it's interesting. It's turned very interesting for me. I've taken notes of things that I have found fascinating on this, because I wanted to make sure I got them all. And then tonight, right before I'm recording this, I watched Sweden and Tunisia, and the Tunisian goalkeeper made a mistake, and it gave Sweden the opportunity to get a goal. And it's like, well, okay, that is interesting to me as well, because unlike other sports where you can have errors, but those errors tend to come out in the wash depending on how the game goes. It has to be a pretty big error for to impact the totality of the game. Whereas in soccer, that one error can 100% impact the entire rest of the game. And literally, one guy making one mistake can cost the team the entire game. And that's crazy to me. And so, yes, I have been, and my God, some of the last minute buzzer beater things. Who was it? It was, oh my gosh. What team was? I don't remember what game it is. I'm looking now. Was it Switzerland and Qatar? I don't think it was that one. Oh, it was Ivory Coast and Ecuador. That was 0-0 up to the 89th minute. And in the 89th minute, the last minute of actual regulation play, without them adding on the extra time at the end to whatever, in the last minute, that's when the Ivory Coast gets their goal. So all the way up to the very end, you got to be paying attention to all this shit. And I have figured out okay, you're talking about the passing. Sometimes they're just, you can start to tell when they're passing just to kind of kill time, and when they're passing with the intention of actually going forward and making a drive at the goal. So I have been entertained. Now, I know this much still. I have figured out this much. There's still obviously way, way more. I can't tell you any players. McCann, I think, is the Australian guy who got the first goal. He's the only one that, for whatever reason, I can remember. And I can't even tell you his first name. But otherwise, I can't tell you any players. It's zoomed out enough that I can't even really jersey numbers. I'm not good at committing any of that. I don't know any plays. I don't know who's what. The offsides is still confusing as shit to me because there's no lines. Now, I was talking to Trey Mack about this at one point this weekend, and he told me how the offsides work, but you have to be tracking where the furthest back defender is, and so sometimes that can that's screwing with me. That the line, the offsides line, actually shifts as the action shifts. So that kind of like gets to me. I also don't quite understand the fouling situation, because what I think looks like a pretty major egregious event maybe is nothing. Like, I watched one dude from, I think it was Tunisia, wrap his arms around a Swedish player and hold him, and for a minute, that wasn't called at all. But some dude, like, accidentally goes to kick the ball, and he's like trying to like kick the ball that's in the air, and he puts his foot up a little too high, and an opposing player is like runs up to it and hits the foot. All of a sudden, that's a big deal. So like, I'm not quite entirely sure, what's what and all that, but anyway, I have been thoroughly entertained by the World Cup, and I'm looking forward to this week's games. Specifically, I'm looking forward to finally seeing England play, because I assume England is pretty good, given, that we hear so much about the Premier League and all the teams over there. So I assume that they would be pretty good. But then again, maybe those teams are stacked with guys from other countries to where maybe the English team is not that great. I don't know. I'll find out. Everybody keeps saying France and Spain are like super good. Spain plays, as I record this, they play tomorrow, I believe. So by the time this comes out, I will have seen Spain play. The United States-Australia match, I'm looking forward to that one. I'm looking forward to watching Scotland take on Morocco. Yeah, Morocco. Because I'm all in for Scotland now. So realistically, I'm really thoroughly enjoying this. So yes, Paul. I have started to really enjoy the football. So anyway, I appreciate the call, buddy. All right. That's all I have for the Villiger Entertainment Report, is that little soccer rant. So we're going to go ahead and go back to the calls now and do this one now.
What is up, Nick? It's Tyler from Pennsylvania. So I just listened to your most recent episode on cigar starter packs, and you sent out a Ask the Boys request for what was your first cigar and what would our starter packs be.
Indeed.
So my first cigar that I had was the Romeo y Julieta Reserva Real Nicaraguan.
There you go.
That was
Nicaraguan.
what I found when I did a lot of research before I even had my first cigar, of like what would fit my palate the best. And I absolutely loved it. Smoked that one for a little while and then pretty much broadened my horizons. But my 4 cigars that I would pick would be, for a Connecticut broadleaf, I would take the Ashton Aged Maduro. It's mild to medium blend. And then as a medium Maduro, I would take Perdomo Lot 23. And then for Cameroon medium body, I would go Oliva Series G. And you got to throw Connecticut in there. Mild to medium Connecticut I would take would be the San Lotano Oval Connecticut by AJ Fernandez. So those will be my 4 cigars. Interested to hear what the rest of you guys come up with. And yeah, hope everyone has a great weekend. Stay safe, stay smoky, guys. Peace.
Thanks, Tyler. I appreciate that. You have some interesting picks there. I can't say as I've had that, what are the San Lotano, I think you said, the AJ Connecticut one. I'm sitting here thinking to myself, most of my experience with AJ is that he tends to have some like spice bomb mixed in with his cigar blends. So like, I don't know if that one does or not. Maybe it doesn't. If it doesn't, then, it's an option. I will say that, what is it? The Sunrise, the H. Upmann Sunrise that he's blended for Altadis. Man, that could be a Connecticut to consider giving to somebody. The Oliva, I don't know. I'll be honest. I get very confused with Oliva, and I know that there's different series and blah 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 and all that, but it's hard for me to keep track of what I've had and what I haven't with them. So, realistically, I don't know if I've had that one. The Perdomo Lot 23. I haven't smoked that one in a minute. The Maduro version. The only thing that I would say there is, in my experience, Perdomo tends to be rather nicotine heavy, and in my experience, giving it, or initially, early on, when I was really big or relatively new and was enjoying the champagne, I would recommend that. And what I found is that other new smokers, they had real issues with Perdomo, and it's because of that nicotine. And so I learned that, and I have found that other ones of their cigars, that Perdomo's a brand you almost have to like build up to a little bit. But I don't know, maybe the Lot 23 is more accessible. So there's that. Now, what's the other one that you said? Oh, the Ashton Aged Maduro. I can't say as I know that one. So again, that could be a good pick. I appreciate that. I think it's good that you included broadleaf. That's nice. You didn't have to. You could have picked, there was the wild card spot. You could have put in whatever, but I think broadleaf is a fun one to put in there because it is a really good flavor and a really good, unique tobacco type to introduce to somebody. So that's cool. I appreciate the call there, Tyler. Okay, moving on. We got another call here.
Hey, Nick. Jeff from Minnesota. Say,
hi, Jeff.
Just calling to check in and say, really looking forward to seeing everyone at Pulpit Fest, getting to meet some new cigar friends and get down and get away from the work world for a few days. Just going to have a great time. The timing's going to be perfect. I'll be retiring shortly after. And I think the weather is going to be much better than the heat of August in Florida. So looking forward to seeing everyone and hope to run into you in July when we're in St. Louis. Take care, brother.
You most definitely will run into me in July when you were in St. Louis. I've got that on my calendar. As for Pulpit Fest, I'm looking forward to it too. We had the first of the brain trust calls between Ken and my dad and I, and we're shaking things up a little bit. There's a little bit of change. Some is required. But some also, it's gotta, we want to freshen it up. It's been 2 years that it's been pretty similar the last 2 years. And so for those repeat people, it's fun to kind of mix it up and change it up a little bit. It'll be fun. And yes, I definitely agree the weather will be nicer at the beginning of October than it will be at like the end of August. That month, that September month in between makes a huge difference. Now, in a perfect world, I'd take it even further into October. But you start running into various things. There's the big bike event down in Daytona, which takes up a lot of hotel rooms in the area. And also, the further into the year you get, I feel like the busier people get. It gets you that much closer to the holidays when people don't really have their money gets locked up. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the beginning of October plays out for everybody. But in terms of some of the stuff that we have coming up at Pulpit Fest, you guys are going to want to stay tuned to Friday's episode, because unless something weird happens in the world, I will be joined by both my dad and Ken, and we will be making announcements about Pulpit Fest that day. And I will also say, I'll just go ahead and tell you now so that it's not a surprise then, Pulpit Fest tickets will go back on sale on Friday, June the 19th, on Eventbrite. So I will have, obviously, links in the parishioners group. I'll have a link on cigarpulpit.com and everything else. But I will say that if you are interested in going, Pulpit Fest general admission tickets will go on sale on June the 19th. VIP technically did sell out during the Black Friday sale that we did in November. I'm toying with the idea of adding a few. I can't guarantee that will be the case. So that's going to be one of those first come, first serve. If I do add some, they will be available on Friday the 19th as well. And you'll have to jump in on that quickly if you're interested in that. That does open you up to being able to take part in the dinner that we do on Thursday night and a few other things. But I don't want to dismiss the general admission tickets as not good. The general admission tickets are wonderful. Guys, I say this with all humility. This is probably the best value that you're going to get for a cigar event in the industry. I don't know of another event that is going to give you everything you get at Pulpit Fest for the price of the ticket. The ticket is $35, and yeah, there's some taxes and fees that Eventbrite tax on, but I think it's less than $40 by the time those are tacked on. With that $35, $30 of it comes back to you as in-store credit at Ash and Ale. So in reality, you're paying less than $10 to attend Pulpit Fest. And that covers, some of our expenses for doing, some of the things that we do. You're going to get your goodie bag with all the stuff in it. Last year's goodie bag, I don't know. I don't have the number in front of me as to what it was valued, but it's either right around or over $200 worth of stuff that you get, for attending. I mean, it's a shit ton of cigars and other stuff, man. You're not walking away with, oh, here's a seat, here you go. I mean, there's free shit, and you're getting a lot of it, and you're paying very little. And part of the reason for that is, look, this is not, it's this is not something for me to make money. I mean, I'm not looking to make money off this. This all started as basically an event for listeners to get together and hang out and have fun. And it is kind of transitioned to what it is. But at the end of the day, what it boils down to is I need the manufacturers that take part in it to have a good time and to see some sales. They see sales from Ash and Ale because all the product they bring to sell to you runs through Ash and Ale. Ash and Ale needs to see sales. So you guys not, getting charged an arm and a leg in order to attend and then being told to buy a bunch of stuff, it benefits the shop because now you have that additional spending power that you can use to purchase cigars. And yes, I am flat out telling you that kind of an expectation of you as an attendee is to buy some stuff. It's a circle of life. You guys buy from Ash and Ale. Ash and Ale buys from the manufacturers. The manufacturers are happy with me because they took part in my event. And I get to be happy that you guys are happy and enjoying yourself and getting some great stuff. It all works out. Everybody's happy. Before it's all said and done, everybody's happy. So that's kind of how it works. And no, I don't really walk away with much of anything, quite frankly. The VIP tickets, they're $125. But of that, that's how I pay for your dinner. That's how I pay for the dinner on Thursday night. That's how I pay for, some other things as it relates to the event. pretty much the tickets, it's a wash. The ticket sales are a wash. Because I'd like you guys to take your hard-earned money, and yes, there's a travel cost, there's a hotel cost, but I'd like for you guys to patronize the business and thus the manufacturers that are supporting the event. So yeah, I had another thought and it literally just escaped my brain. Oh, the other thing, we're partnering up with Vincent's Clubhouse again, and we're raising money for Vincent's Clubhouse again. They support programs and education for autistic adults and children in the Flagler County area. My son will be taking part in their summer camp later this summer. And I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes. They're doing awesome stuff down there. And I'm beyond proud to say that they had up until this April, when they had their 10-year celebratory gala, because they've been doing stuff for 10 years. They only started the center that they have and all these programs in November, I believe, of 24. Up until then, it was just the summer camp. But Pulpit Fest last year, until April of this year, was the largest fundraiser they've ever had. Other donations had come in and various things like that. But in terms of an organized fundraiser event, you guys at Pulpit Fest 2025 raised the most money that Vincent's Clubhouse has received at a fundraiser up to April of this year when they had their gala. Now, they had their gala and that ended up raising like over $37,000, which is fantastic. I'm so happy about that. I'm a little bitter that I got beat out, but what are you going to do? But no, you guys raised, on top of giving Ash and Ale, one of, if not their best weekend of the entire year in sales. I'm fairly positive. Ken told me, I might be making this up, but I'm going to go ahead and commit to it. I know for a fact that 2024, we gave Ken the best day of sale, single day of sales, and best weekend of sales that he'd had up until that point while owning Ash and Ale. I'm pretty sure we beat that last year. I don't know for certain. We at least maybe came very, very close, may have tied it. I don't recall. But I know we were in the window. And so not only are we supporting a brick and mortar shop and giving them amazing sales, but you guys also managed to raise $5,000, which was the most amount of money Vincent's Clubhouse had received at a fundraiser to date at that time. So, everybody that attended last year should be super proud. This year, I'd like to beat it. Selfishly, I'd like to beat it because I obviously am heavily invested into Vincent's Clubhouse and their future and their progress. But aside from that, I think they do awesome things. And if you guys haven't looked into them, go to their Facebook page. Check out their Facebook page and just see all the cool stuff they're doing. Right? Last week was their first week of camp and for the summer, and they had animals come out. It was Animal Week, and so they had like a petting zoo come out so that these people, their members, could interact with goats and pigs and chickens and various things like that. They're going to have a culinary week at some point this summer where they are working on food and learning about different foods and learning how to prep different foods and things like that. It's really cool. And quite frankly, the life skills that they teach their members throughout the course of the year with their adult program that they do is amazing. They help these guys, their members get jobs at various places. They have a coffee stand, for God's sakes, that they set up, and the members take orders, make the coffee, and whatever. Now, it's not as elaborate as Starbucks. You're not going to go up there and get your, caramel frappe, whatever, mochaccino with the whipped cream and the shavings and all that. But you're going to get a coffee, and it's nice, and they don't charge. It's purely donation based, so you could theoretically go get a free coffee if you wanted to. And I've been talking with Erica at Vincent's Clubhouse about setting up the coffee cart during Pulpit Fest, so that for those of you who would like coffee, you can go and get a coffee from them. And again, they don't charge; they just take donations. Well, you know what, guys? Those donations count towards the money raised at Pulpit Fest. So we're working on it, and I want it to be really, really great, and I want it to be special. So, just to let you guys know, there are some new things that are taking place at Pulpit Fest this year. Maybe some new faces showing up at Pulpit Fest this year. And so, I'm excited about it. I think it's good. Freshen things up a little bit, expand it out, have a good time, and, I want everybody to win. So that's my Pulpit Fest rant. If you're coming, awesome. If you're planning on coming and you haven't gotten your ticket yet, be watching on Friday, July 19th. That's this Friday. And those tickets will go on sale on Eventbrite. And I want to point out, 20% of the general admission tickets sold during the Black Friday sale. So not only did the VIP tickets sell out, but the general admission also sold 20% as well. So tickets are limited. There's only so much space at Ash and Ale. And so I have to keep the number at a very confined, tight number. But on the other hand, I don't want a 500 person event, because then I can't interact with all of you and have a good time. Hell, I feel as though I can't interact with all of you and have a good time as it is right now at 50 to 60, because I'm all over the place. But I'm hoping that that'll change a little bit this year, because obviously I'll be staying in the village. So that'll be good. I'll be able to hang out at night a little later and, whatever and whatnot. But anyway, I just, for what it's worth, if you're interested in Pulpit Fest, make sure you listen to Friday's episode, because we're going to give a lot of information out there, or at least we're going to start, letting you know some things. But then on Friday, the 19th, aside from that episode, tickets will go on sale, and I want them to go quickly. I want them to go quickly. So for those of you interested, Eventbrite. Look for Pulpit Fest tickets on Friday the 19th. All righty. We got, I think, 2 more calls here. These calls from 2 more callers, but whoop. There we go.
Good evening, Mr. Nick. This is John from South Alabama. First time, long time. Calling about referencing cigars to give to new friends or new cigar enthusiasts about to be. I've been smoking quite a bit of the Camacho Connecticut's,
it's a good one.
Lemez Cubana, and Punch Grand Puro for beginners, lighter side ones, and then kind of stepping up to the United Gold Star. Had an Espinosa Habano yesterday.
Okay.
And Hoyt de Monterey Excalibur for more of the mid-range. And had a Diesel, McAuliffe Black, and Camacho Triple Maduro for the stronger side.
Okay.
And as far as the flavored ones go, Fat Bottom Betty and Nub Nuance. Really enjoy the show. Love what you're putting out. And stay smoky, my friends. Y'all have a good evening.
John, I really appreciate that. There were some really good suggestions in there. Let me bring up the transcript of the thing, which the app that I use for this, the transcriptions are typically pretty horrible. So I'm going to try my best. Camacho, Connecticut, that's a sleeper, and I appreciate it. So that one, I'll give you that one. That's a good pick there. La Mez Cubana. That's a United cigar, I believe. That's a good one. United Gold Star. I love the United Gold Star. It's a great cigar. And what I think is interesting about that cigar is, at least in my experience, it starts off as maybe like a 4 to 5 on the strength-o-meter, but by the end it's closer to a 7. So what's nice about that is you can teach people how a cigar will ramp up over the course of the smoking experience. Hoya de Monterrey Excalibur, holy shit, man. That's a cigar I remember smoking the hell out of for maybe about a month when I was relatively in my first year of cigars. It started becoming much more difficult to track down in my area, so that's why I moved on from it. But yeah, I smoked that quite a bit. The Diesel, the McAuliffe Black, and the Camacho Triple Maduro. Regarding the Camacho Triple Maduro, I tend to not be the biggest fan of Triple Maduro cigars, like that one and the blackened M81. It's too much of one thing. I like the little bit of variety in the blend, but it is a stronger cigar, and it would definitely, give somebody an opinion about stronger cigars. And then Fat Bottom Betty, just like the Java Mint, Fat Bottom Betty is one of my guilty pleasure ones. I have 2 boxes. I feel like I have a box of Gordos and a box of Toros in my humidor right now. They've been sitting there for a long damn time because, again, I only smoke something like that maybe twice a year. So those cigars, those Gordos, I remember buying that when the Gordo version of that cigar came out, and I was still smoking Gordos. I've since kind of like pulled back from the 6x60s, and that's not my favorite Vitola anymore. But they've been sitting there for a while, and I've, slowly every once in a while. Nub Nuance. I can't say as I've had that one. I will admit I'm not the biggest fan of the nub size, that squatty big fat one. And it's all a mental thing. Plain and simple. It's a mental thing. In that I feel as though I'm paying full price for a cigar, but I'm getting 2/3 of a cigar. The length screws with me. It's just one of those things. Granted, I get the smoking time out of it, but it's something that screws with me. And quite frankly, I know they're one of my sponsors. Gorbusto from Aladino. The size is not my personal favorite. If they were to do different Vitolas of the Gorbusto cigars, maybe in a Toro, I would, if you put the two of them in front of me, I 100% would go more for the Toro. But they are going for that short, squatty cigar. And when I say short, I don't mean smoking time, I mean length. And much like the nub, you get the smoking time out of it. You get a lot of smoking time out of a Gorbusto. So, and they're very well made. I have the Gory, the orange one, the orangutan. No, the orang, not the Gory. The Gory was the Maduro. The orangutan. I smoked that, and I got practically down to the end before the ash came off. And I was sitting out in a windy, misty, rainy night underneath a carport at a hotel smoking that thing. So, like, by all rights, it should have come off a long time before it finally did. But so in terms of construction on the Gorbusto, it was fantastic. So yeah, no, those are some awesome cigar suggestions there, John. And I appreciate you calling in. I appreciate the first time call. Feel free to call back. I like people. All right. We got one more caller here.
Hey, what's up, Nick? It's Eric.
What up?
And so my first cigar was the Avo Classic in tube.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not like that thing very well, but still kept going, figured it out.
Okay.
And then for my pack, I think for my Connecticut, on recent smoking, I'm going to go with the McAuliffe White.
Ooh, good pick.
With the Habano. I think I'm going to go the Charter Oak Habano.
Good pick.
For my Maduro, I'm going to go the Perdomo Lot 23 Maduro. And I'm going to go with you on the wild card with Aladino Cameroon because, as we all know, I'm so fond of it. Anyway, that's my pack. And I'm excited to hear everybody else's answers. Take it easy.
I appreciate the call, Eric. And I have nothing to say about that. I've already said my piece about the Perdomo Lot 23 Maduro. It's been a minute since I smoked it. The only thing is, at this point in time, I would be a little hesitant. Without having smoked it again, I'd be a little hesitant to say that, only because, like I said, I tend to think Perdomo cigars tend to be kind of higher on the nicotine content. But I mean, again, I haven't smoked it in a minute, so for all I know, it's a perfectly good Maduro for somebody new. And I want to also make it very clear, I'm not picking on Perdomo for that. They obviously put out cigars that people enjoy. Shit, the last 2 years in a row of tracking my cigars, they have been the top brand that I have smoked throughout the year, with the Perdomo Habano Sungrown being my number one cigar, I think both years in a row. So it's not like I'm not smoking the shit out of them. It's just that for what it's worth, I think it's one of those brands that, you kind of got to build up to. But then again, there's something to be said for just jumping into the pool. In terms of your other suggestions, the McAuliffe White is a fantastic option, and one that, truthfully, I hadn't considered. And I don't know if it's so new that I hadn't really thought about it or what, but I like the McAuliffe White, and it's got that good creamy Connecticut thing going on, but also it does have a little bit more to it, to where it's not a boring, bland Connecticut. Charter Oak Habano, dude, I smoked the shit out of those. I bought a box of those when I was at Party Source in Cincinnati for the Gorbusto launch event. What I love about that cigar, you can buy a box for, depending upon where you're going, you can buy a box for under $100. That's 20 cigars for under $100. And that's amazing. And they're good cigars. And I love them. The only thing I will say, God, I wish they would stop doing the closed foot. I hate closed foot cigars. You light them and that shit just goes everywhere. But it's one of my little pet peeves. But otherwise, and also I will say the Charter Oak Habano does have maybe a slightly fragile wrapper at times. I know not this current box. I don't even think the most recent box. A couple years back, I had a box, and every single one of them was freaking cracked coming out of the box. But this one, I had one recently that was cracked coming out of the cellophane. The head was cracked. I was able to cut the cigar and open it up. And before I even lit it, I hit it with my Ciglue. And I posted this to the parishioners group. And I let that dry so that I wasn't putting glue straight in my mouth. But I let it dry. And that Ciglue held perfectly. Because nothing sucks more than when you cut a cigar and you crack the cap, and then suddenly binder is exposed, wrapper starts tearing away in your mouth, and now you're dealing with binder. I don't like smoking binder. I need the wrapper. There's something about getting to that rougher tobacco that they use for the binder. It's a mouthfeel thing, and I hate it. I hate it so much. And so typically if I crack a cigar like this one was, right off the bat, it's it's almost like an immediate, like, death for me with that cigar. I don't even want to mess with it. But I was able to, and I smoked it all the way to the end with no issue. So again, I'm not getting paid by, I'm not endorsed by Siglu, but I'll tell you right now, Siglu saved that cigar, and it proved itself yet again to me why that should be the third thing in your cigar arsenal behind a lighter and a cutter. You should have Siglu on hand just in case. And then, the Aladino Cameroon, it's just so good, and it offers something unique to new smokers and even experienced smokers. It gives experienced smokers something different to try. So, yep, good picks there, Adam. Eric, not Adam. You're Eric. I'm looking at the soundboard, and I have the Adam Protocol button right there, and it just bloop in my head. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for the calls. I appreciate it. This has been fun. Even the constructive criticism from you, Paul, was fun, and I appreciate it. And yes, I will take all that into account. So, guys, you can call the hotline at area code 863-874-0000. That's 863-874-0000 or tofu pie 0000. And just save it in your phone, like Dakota Side Piece does. Save it in your phone, and that way it's there. And when a thought crosses your mind, you just got to hit the button, and you automatically go straight to the hotline, and you can leave me a message. And I think that would be wonderful. And we can keep this going, because the more calls I get, the more I can do this. And quite frankly, I really enjoy it. I think it's great. And it helps me out, because again, there's times when I just don't have anything, and I'm tired, and I'm busy, and I want to put something out. I don't want to put up the thing that says, guys, life got in the way, there's no episode this Friday, or, oh, life got in the way, there's no episode this Tuesday. I don't want to do that. But there's times every once in a while that it comes danger close to that, but I still pull something out of my butt, including, AI generated show ideas. But I appreciate the calls, because it gives me somebody to bounce off of, questions to answer, things to talk about, and questions to pose. So keep your pack ideas coming in. This was fun. This was good. And I like hearing what you all think new smokers should try. So anyway, that would be this episode of Ask the Pulpit. I'm getting a ton of time out of this Herrera Esteli. Now, part of that is because I am smoking it incredibly slow, and it keeps threatening to go out on me because I'm smoking it so slow. By the way, this is what happens when you smoke it slow. It starts, the inside tends to burn before the outside, and so that's like on the verge of going out, and so you got to hit it with a little fire just to kind of prompt the outside to catch up with the inside and get it going again. But just like that, we're back in business, causing smoke. All right, guys, it's lemonade time. So I still have yet to put together the lemonade-o-meter. So I hope to have that next week. I hope to have it this week, but I don't, because I realized tonight after the football game, I realized I have to record this tonight, because I have my son like all day tomorrow and a doctor's appointment. So like I have a very busy day again tomorrow. And so I was like, shit, I got to record this thing tonight. So with that being said, I grabbed another of my lemonades that I have in the fridge, not the Two Guys one, because the Two Guys one will be the first one that I do on the lemonade-o-meter. So I grabbed this one, which is one you can find damn near anywhere. And it's the Minute Maid lemonade. Just straight up Minute Maid lemonade. This is the one in the can. This can, 3% lemon juice. So not high on the lemon juice content. The ingredients, it's a very small print. Pure filtered water, high fructose corn syrup. Oh, there's that friend. Lemon juice from concentrate, less than 0.5% of natural flavors. Citric acid provides tartness. Modified cornstarch, glycerol, ester of ricin, sodium benzenate and potassium, sorbate and calcium diodicum, EDTA, to protect taste. And our good friend Yellow number 5, canned under the authority of Coca-Cola Company, Atlanta, Georgia. So we definitely do not have the most natural ingredient list in the Minute Maid lemonade. But, you know, it's one that's very commonly found, and so we got to put it on the list. So pop the can there, get that going so that we can add it to the list here. So let's bring up the lemonade list so that we can add it to it. Now, the last one, the Tropicana, that was some good stuff. And, you know, we had a pretty strong showing from that. Now, I would like to point out, I have done the Minute Maid Pink Lemonade. That was one that I did with Mike Brinker. And it's the only pink lemonade that has made it to this list. And that received an 8.5. So, you know, even with the ingredient list being probably not the most natural, it did receive an 8.5 because it was a good lemonade. So we will see what the Minute Maid lemonade, the OG yellow flavor, comes out to tasting like. So bottoms up, everybody. Well, that's delightful. I do like it. Minute Maid lemonade, look, it might be full of all kinds of shit that makes it more chemical than lemon, but it's good. It's easily found at a lot of restaurants on their soda machines. So, like, I know my son and I, you know, he loves Chipotle. My kid loves Chipotle. But every once in a while, he wants to mix it up and go to Qdoba, which is basically the same freaking restaurant, just different name, slightly different bowl size, whatever. But when he does that, our local Qdoba is sometimes less than good about having their iced tea brewed. I don't understand how that's always the case. Practically every single time I go in there on a Saturday at like 11:45, so right before the lunch rush, they're either cleaning the tea pots, whatever you want to call it, the things with the spigot, or they're bone dry because they've already been you know, drank. So that the staff of that Qdoba sucks. I mean, they just cannot keep up on top of the tea. But my alternative there is Minute Maid lemonade. Now, I hate ice in my lemonade. I don't want ice in my lemonade because it waters it down. You have to drink the lemonade quickly, otherwise it waters it down. So I am not the biggest fan of ice in the lemonade. But Minute Maid lemonade on the soda fountain you can get, and it typically comes out. It's cold. It's not like out of the fridge cold, but it's better than, you know, room temperature. So that's my backup at the Qdoba when the iced tea is gone. So what would I give the Minute Maid lemonade? By the way, it does pair nicely with a cigar. You know, I think I gotta probably go ahead and man, I'm looking at my list and some of the ones that it's gonna beat. It's not beating that many. I'm gonna equal it out with the Minute Maid Pink Lemonade and say 8.5, 8.5. It's a respectable lemonade. It's sweet. It's got a little tartness on the back flavor to it. It's consistent. Anywhere you go and you get Minute Maid lemonade, it's going to taste like this. Now, that's because it has a laundry list of ingredients in it. I much prefer having a more natural lemonade, but for what it's worth in terms of flavor, if we're just judging it on flavor, if we're not, picking on it because of ingredients or whatever, then I would say the Minute Maid lemonade comes in at an 8.5. So there's that. All right, guys. Let me bring up my notes here. I'm pretty sure that is all she wrote because I did the Villiger report in the middle of that when I was talking about the World Cup. And I also promoted the Etsy store. So if you want to get stickers, including that lemonade one I just showed, you can head on over to the Cigar Pulpit Etsy store. And I try to get those out really quick. I will say Etsy is on my ass about providing tracking numbers for the sales. And quite frankly, I did that once with the very first sale. And no, I'm not going to be doing that because I have little thank you cards, stationary ones that I put the stickers in the envelope with, and one stamp will take care of the postage to get those stickers to you. I'm only selling stickers. If I were selling hoodies, yes, I would be sending tracking numbers and everything that goes with it because it's a higher purchase amount. But realistically, these stickers, quite honestly, for me to provide a tracking, it's an additional $5 with the post office for me to mail it that way. So, if you go on and you buy one sticker, I'm losing money sending it to you with a tracking number. So, yeah, if you're buying stickers, you're probably not going to get a tracking number for me. I am doing USPS, so, it's in the mail, and I get them out the next day. After you've purchased, the next day, they're in the mail, because it takes nothing. I have them there. I write out a little thank you note, and I drop it in the mail. It's super quick for me. I don't mind it, and I'm on top of it. You're probably not going to get a tracking number, but that's just the reality. Like I said, if we expand this out and it's like shirts and hats and, that kind of stuff, tracking numbers will come along with that. But for right now, for stickers, it's just a stamp and it'll make it there. And if it doesn't make it there, let me know and I'll drop another one in the mail. It's not the end of the world. Don't abuse that. But socials. I'm available on Instagram at The Cigar Pulpit. I am available on Facebook where we have the Pulpit Parishioners group. It's a private group. You can find that. You request access. I let you in and you can start sharing what's going on in your cigar smoking life. And apparently we can judge what my hair color is. That came up this week. And some of the suggestions that you guys had were interesting. You guys got very creative with finding ways to call my hair a mix of brown with a majority of gray. Like dirty dishwater, I think came up at one point. Grayish was a word that was used at one point. Ed Sullivan found the paint swatch, the Sherman Williams, I think it was Sherman Williams, I don't remember what brand, paint. He put my hair into that and determined my paint swatch hair color. And that was interesting. So, there were some interesting comments on that. But anyway, that's what happens in the Parishioners group. I'm on Twitter/X. You can watch this on Rumble and YouTube. Also on Rumble and YouTube, I will have drive time reviews every Wednesday at 7 a.m. Central Time. This last one, I did the McAuliffe Color Blend. coming up this upcoming Wednesday. I don't know. We'll see. I will say that one likely will be recorded right here in my garage. It'll probably be a one and out garage time review due to the fact that for a variety of reasons, I did not end up getting one recorded when I went up to my printer last Wednesday. And so it's probably not going to be a drive time review as much as a garage time review, but it'll be one. I'll have one for you. And then, again, I need your calls. Ask the Pulpit, area code 863-874-0000. And then finally, we have the Cigar Chronicle newsletter, which by the time you guys get this, that should be in your inbox. I was doing work while I was watching soccer games. I wasn't just sitting and watching soccer games, but I was doing other work. The newsletter, I've got some of it done, and there's more that I need to finish. But once it's done, I'll have it out. I hope to have it out. Well, by the time you guys hear this, you should have it. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm trying my best. As for the print version of that, by the way, it is coming. It's maybe a little slower than I wanted. I had every intention of getting print versions out to lounges, hopefully by the end of May or into June. I don't necessarily know if that's going to happen for economical reasons. Let's put it this way. Lounges seem pretty happy to receive free product that they can put out and their patrons can read and everything like that. Cigar companies don't seem too terribly interested in placing an advertisement in said publication so that I can afford to print and mail them. And so, and look, the reality of the situation is the industry is, whether anybody's going to tell you or not, cigar companies are taking a beating right now. Retailers are taking a beating right now. It's not a good time to be launching something that you're asking people for money to advertise. Granted, there's a certain magazine out there where companies will spend, I don't know, $10, $20, $30,000 on a page of advertising that, by all accounts, doesn't have anywhere near the readership that, that it should, and that, would command those kind of prices. But that's a whole nother discussion for another day. I don't know why some companies feel the need to kiss the butt or the ring of said magazine. But again, I don't want to sound bitter and angry, so I'm not going to. But what I will say is that sometimes it's hard to convince people to reallocate their marketing dollars from what was maybe popular in the late 90s into something that would be sitting on a coffee table at a cigar lounge today. Anyway, neither here nor there. I'm working on it. I promise I'm working on it. It's going to get there. I just, it may be email only for a little while longer. That's all I'm saying. So yeah, if you haven't signed up for the Cigar Chronicle, you can head on over to cigarpulpit.com. A little pop-up box comes up there. You can put in your email address, and then you will receive those. I put them out once a month so that, I don't blow up your inbox. And you can enjoy those. Otherwise, that's all she wrote for tonight. I'm enjoying my Herrera Esteli. Again, had to hit it with some more fire just now because I just keep talking so much. But that's okay. I'm going to finish this, and then I'm going to go to bed. And tomorrow is a busy day. So, guys, thank you so much for calling. I appreciate it. I always appreciate it when you guys do this because, like I said, it helps me out so much. And I like it. I like it. I think it's fun. So, the more of you that get involved, the better. So try, if you haven't called before, give me a call. I think it was John? I think John was our first time caller. Good for you. Thank you. Thank you for taking time out to call. And for those of you who call regularly, I appreciate it greatly. But anyway, this has been another sermon from the Cigar Pulpits. I'm Nick. Everybody, stay safe, stay smoky. You know, by the time you guys hear that, that'll hopefully have been equalized out to where it won't be anywhere near as loud. But, you know, as I'm sitting here recording, I had turned the volume up on my phone all the way so that your voicemails could be easily heard, you know, because some of you talk a little soft. And so I didn't think to turn that back down when I went to the music. And boy, that was loud in my headphones. Anyway, take it easy, guys.